Hello. Today I'd like to talk about a warning that I'd like to issue to people who are looking into getting into the saltwater aquarium and reef hobby, and just as far as them helping make people make the best informed decision as to what's the right kind of setup for them. For those of you who are looking into, say, the 55-gallon or larger range, in a freshwater tank, you might have gotten conditioned to going, okay, there's no issue whatsoever. I want to keep my equipment hidden, so I'm just going to go ahead and get a canister filter. Canister filters in saltwater tanks, and yes, there will be people who disagree with me on this one, but canister filters in saltwater tanks, I'm sorry, they are by far the most problematic method of mechanical filtration you can go with. If you're talking 55 gallons or larger, you really should be running a sump system on your saltwater tank. It's the best way to maximize flow. It's the best way to ensure that you've got a protein skimmer in there to help remove the excess proteins. Filter sock or not, room for biofiltration like Chaeto, type of macroalgae, as well as having a solid return pump in there. It just maximizes your filtration, maximizes turnover for your tank, and it's much easier to keep clean and organized as far as having your equipment set up in there and everything. The problem is that with a canister filter, by nature, it is a closed system. And so there are many places in there, in the tubing and various other compartments and other such things, where stuff can get trapped and built up. And although in a freshwater tank, that's not necessarily a bad thing, in some cases it's actually beneficial, in a saltwater tank, it can be an absolute disaster. I visit on the neighborhood of 15 to 20 different forums. I'm a member of a wide range of different Facebook groups, and I will say this. I have seen many individuals who have had out-of-control nitrate phosphate issues who have fixed them by doing nothing other than either switching to a hang-on back or sump system from their former canister filter, which is what they were running when they were having problems. But I have never once in the last 2.5 to 3 years that I've been doing this seen anyone who's had nitrate and phosphate issues with the sump system or hang-on back filter system who has switched to a canister and fixed all their problems. It has never happened. I have never seen it. So I'm not saying that a person can't use a canister filter on the system. There are some people who do use them, and they stay on top of it, and they have good results. But for newbies who are looking at getting into the hobby, where you already have enough challenges as is, if you're wanting to keep your hassle factor down, if you're looking at a larger tank, or medium-sized tank to larger-sized tank, I highly recommend just going and either getting a used or new pre-drilled reef-ready system. It will save you a lot of hassle. It's the best way to do sump filtration because the tank's already set up and designed for it. You can also drill a tank if it's not tempered glass. If it's got tempered glass, you definitely don't want to do that. But anyways, for larger tanks, that's good. For smaller tanks, hang on back is dirt cheap and it's perfectly fine. Okay. So for those of you folks who are looking into getting into the hobby, just take heed and warning that there are methods. All these different methods can be used, but there are some that are definitely going to be less problematic, less labor intensive for you than others. And as far as that's concerned, those are my recommendations, is that just avoid a canister filter system on a saltwater tank, and you will save yourself a fair bit of hassle. Now, some people will chime in and say, well, I run a canister with no issues, and and it's real simple to maintain. But then when you press them further on their maintenance routine and regimens, you're realizing that it is far more labor intensive in the long run than, say, a sump or a hang-on back filter system. When I had my hang-on back filter system, on my old 36-gallon bow front, which was small enough that, hang on back was fine. I think other than changing the filter once a month and maybe every 2 to 3 months, I might go in and clear out the Fluval or AquaClear 50 filter that I had on there. On my sump system, really the only thing that's remotely labor intensive is the filter sock that I change out every 3 days. Now, excuse me, the filter sock is not an absolute requirement. You can choose to run it and you can choose not to. So that's just my own personal prerogative on that. You don't have to run a filter sock or deal with the hassle of changing out filter socks if you don't really want to. You just have to, every now and then spend a little more time maybe cleaning out the sump tank. But all in all, I mean, when you're talking about a sump system, other than a filter sock, occasionally you go through and clean out the skimmer and the skimmer cup, and you maybe wipe down the glass of the tank a little bit, or you can get something, an invert that'll clean it up for you as well. So realistically, beyond that, you really don't need to do much to a sump system. So anyways, once again, this is just kind of a warning for people looking to get in the hobby. If you've gotten conditioned through a bad habit, through freshwater, once again, to just going, oh wow, I like the convenience of having all my equipment and filtration hidden in a canister and everything. As I said, a respectable solution for a freshwater tank. A bit more of a problem in a saltwater tank. So just keep that in mind when you're looking to purchase equipment and a system and everything. You really do need to do your research and plan ahead and decide, what kind of setup is best for you and what works best with a given size system. Because it can take the difficulty factor down considerably for you and make things a lot easier for you when you're getting started in the hobby. It's just frustrating to see people spend a whole bunch of money and then just say, oh, this is so difficult and I've had nothing but problems with it, and then just give up on it and disgust it and after throwing away a whole bunch of money, when there's so many things that if they'd been forewarned, they could have solved these problems earlier on and had a much better experience in the long run. So anyways, that's all I've got, and thanks for watching.